Senior political analyst Britt Hume is here with us tonight to give us an assessment. Good evening, Britt. You just heard Reince from the North Lawn there. The big news today about the tax reform, but your thoughts?
Well, I think the tax reform is unmistakably a pro-growth tax cut. Whether they can make it really tax reform by making it credibly revenue neutral remains to be seen. Obviously, when you cut tax rates as steeply as they are planning to cut them in this, it does raise the possibility that the revenue will, the revenue loss will be tremendous to the Treasury, and the deficit will balloon. That will be offset, I think it's fair to argue, to some extent. How great an extent is unclear, from the growth you'll get out of it. But it's never been the case that a pro-growth tax cut pays for itself. Now, there's also this, Brad, of course, and this is all going to be part of the argument, you can bet on it, and that is that if the economy grows, a larger economy can carry a larger amount of debt, which is why what happened in the 1980s, although the deficit grew strongly, the economy was robust and the country came through it fine. But there's been such a buildup in the national debt over the past decade or so that I'm not sure that that's very comforting. So they're going to have a fight on their hands here. The details will matter.
Yeah, and the details about, getting into the weeds here, but being revenue neutral allows you to use this reconciliation 51 votes in the Senate as opposed to having to get 60, where you would have to get Democrats to sign on. The problem is if it's not revenue neutral, it can only then last for about 10 years. Then it's sunsetted. If you make it revenue neutral or you get 60 votes, it could last forever. That's a big hurdle.
It is. This happened back in 1986, Brett. I remember the debate very well. President Reagan was basically in favor of tax reform, but he didn't really push it until late in the game. And it became an idea whose time had come, in the sense that the arguments for it were pretty powerful. And it really did change the tax code measurably and made it simpler at the time. Now, of course, you can't bind future Congresses. So if you reform the tax code now and you simplify it and you scrape away a lot of the deductions and the preferences that exist in the tax code now, which will help make it revenue neutral, by the way. I mean, because you close a lot of these tax breaks down by which revenue is lost. That's a great thing. It doesn't bind future Congresses, of course, and so it'll be tempting, as always, for the Congress to start punching holes in the tax code again. That's the way it's always been. But that's the challenge. And when it ended up passing, it passed pretty strongly. So they've got a chance here. There'll be a big argument about whether it really is revenue neutral. There'll be a big argument, as there always is, when you cut tax rates, that it's a tax cut for the rich. And that's simply a function of the math, Brett. The people who pay most of the taxes are going to benefit when they're cut more than the people who pay little or no taxes. That's just the way life works. But it's a very tempting argument, and one that the Democrats are using already. You could hear Chuck Schumer with that today. So we're going to hear a lot of that. You bet on that.
Yeah. All right, Brett. Thank you.